The top stories of the week with added depth and also context from our team of reporters we here like to call the Daily Debrief. Hello everyone, I'm Ty Quinones. Well, viewers like you are asking for more depth, and here is exactly where you're going to find it. So let's jump right in.
This prolonged heat wave across the West has many asking, when could we see the monsoon rains arrive?
Yeah, as we know, the last 2 years they have been duds essentially when it comes to quenching our desert. And here's 13 Action News reporter Joe Bartels with more on this.
Even when the sun goes down, it is still oppressively hot. And we've learned that forecasts aren't exactly favorable for the monsoon, which that season kicked off this week.
Right now, we are under an exceptionally strong ridge of high pressure, and that's been pushing these temperatures to their extremes.
Kate Gillette and her fellow meteorologists at the National Weather Service in Las Vegas are watching the sizzling numbers break records.
It is normally hot in the desert, but the temperatures we're seeing today and tomorrow are going to be approaching all-time record values for Las Vegas, and those types of temperatures we don't see every year.
Kate says another record streak is also on the line. The all-time longest stretch of 115 plus is 4 sweltering days in Las Vegas. Current forecasts are flirting with that, and relief is not looking likely, at least not immediately.
When it comes to the monsoon type moisture, we are not seeing that at least in the next 7 days, and then the outlook for July, August, and September isn't showing a strong indicator of seeing above normal precipitation or below normal precipitation. So, as of right now, we're going to have to wait and see.
The monsoon shift usually happens around 4th of July and lasts until Labor Day in September. High winds, flooding rains, and deadly lightning are all possible. This year brings a new warning system to Clark County.
New to the season this year is we've now split up Clark County. So before, if we issued a flash flood warning or a severe thunderstorm warning, it would alert the entire county if it was anywhere in the county. So if you were in Mesquite, you would get alerted for something that was happening in Laughlin.
The idea is not to flood people with warnings on their phones and for people in targeted areas to take the warnings more seriously. Joe Bartels, 13 Action News.
I'm Amy Abdel Sayed, and Las Vegas has been really, really hot. Vegas is always hot, but lately we've seen excessive heat warnings. We've broken a lot of the daily high records. Joe, what is the highest temperature ever recorded in Las Vegas, and when was it recorded?
The all-time highest temperature ever recorded is 117 degrees. According to the National Weather Service, that's only happened a total of 4 times dating back to the 1930s. It happened as recently as the last few years, and I believe 2017. Usually happens in June when it gets really hot, but it's also happened in July, I believe, and also once in August. But this is incredibly rare, and this type of heat is very dangerous, and also the length of it is very unusual according to the National Weather Service. We hit 116 on Wednesday. That broke a record. It was 114 that broke the record, and we are still in it for a few more days at least.
And the official measurements come from McCarran International Airport. Why is it that they have to come from McCarran?
Typically, aviation and weather go hand in hand, and it is so crucial for aviation to have the most accurate weather observations and forecasts for the airport. And so typically you'll see even across the country that the official weather station is at the airport, which helps with piloting and aircraft, but that's typically where all the records are kept. So the official temperature 117 is at the airport here in Las Vegas.
What about globally? What's the highest temperature ever recorded on Earth?
We went back and we did a little research, and the all-time hottest temperature ever officially recorded on Earth was 134 degrees on July 10th, 1913 in Death Valley, of course, of all places, so not that far from here. Still a far cry from 117 degrees, but I certainly wouldn't want to be there for the all-time hottest temperature ever recorded on Earth, a scorching 134 degrees.
Joe, thank you so much. For even more on today's big story, make sure to visit ktmv.com. If you go to ktmv.com/weather, you'll also find current conditions. Right now, you're watching KTMV streaming, local news on your time.
Dan Reynolds of Imagine Dragons fame and his siblings grew up in this home. Actually, his parents just moved out in January. Now they hope this home filled with love for so many years will live on, making a difference in the lives of LGBTQ youth with a Utah-based nonprofit.
And this is for children. That's what it's for.
This more than 5,000 square foot home off Sahara and Jones helped raise 8 children, including Imagine Dragons frontman Dan Reynolds.
We feel like it has a spirit, so to speak, of its own. It had a lot of children in it, a lot of happiness, and that's what we wanted. And people coming around were investment people.
Dan's father, Ron Reynolds, says the 7-bedroom home was a blessing to all who walked through the door, but selling it proved tougher than he thought. The Reynolds wanted the home to continue its history of helping and nurturing. Then Dan had an idea.
He called early in the morning and he said, "You can say no, but I just had this dream," and I woke up and I talked to my wife and she cried, and he told us about it. We get emotional about it too, I think. But he said, what if I bought your home and I donated it?
I'm the Chief Program Officer at Encircle.
The idea is to donate the home to Encircle, a Utah-based LGBTQ organization that provides services, safety, and welcomes youth and their families.
This can be a place where people continue to grow up feeling loved and supported and, getting a lot of that love from the community.
Stephanie Larson says the home could be used for art and music programs as well as counseling sessions, something to help youth ages 12 to 26 feel more accepted to be who they are.
We're working on getting it zoned correctly, and then if that happens, we'll renovate this house and make it beautiful, a place that reflects the value and the beauty of these youth.
If approved, the home would be the first property outside the Utah nonprofit's portfolio, and the Reynolds know the project and the mission is oftentimes a matter of life and death.
My son, like some of my other sons, have seen friends die of suicide. They realize how serious it is. I mean, it's a life and death situation. It's not.
Governor Steve Sisolak stopped by. He says he supports this measure. Now, if everything goes according to plan, they hope to be up and running by spring of next year. Joe Bartels, 13 Action News.
I'm Jason Denant, and here with me is Joe Bartels. And in honor of Pride Month, we're featuring a story in regards to the Encircle group from Utah that's coming here to Las Vegas, partly because of a gracious donation from Imagine Dragons frontman Dan Reynolds. Joe, tell us a little bit more about this project and what it's bringing to Las Vegas.
Of course, Dan Reynolds is, of course, a Las Vegas native. He grew up here and his family's lived here for decades. And so he's always been a huge advocate for LGBTQ youth, whether it be at his concerts, speaking out publicly, making donations. So it came to be that his family wanted to sell their family home, a very large home off of Sahara and Jones area, 5,000 square feet. They raised their family there. 8 children is what they said through the years they raised there. So, they wanted to sell the home, but they just couldn't seem to get the right buyer. And obviously there's a lot of memories there and sentimental value. And everyone that came up to them were investors, or they just were kind of concerned about who the home would then become or would be owned by. So Dan one day decided to say to his family, look, like, I had a dream and I want to buy the home and I want to donate it to this group that I know who could really benefit from it. And it just kind of snowballed from there. And so here we are. They're trying to get everything kind of in order, but this home could soon be a resource group for LGBTQ youth and their families in Las Vegas.
Now, this group started in Utah. How did it start? Why did it start there? And what are the resources that it can bring here to the Las Vegas community?
Well, I spoke to the founder, and she says that this really started as a suicide prevention program way back in 2017, so about 4 years ago. She says that this particular group, especially youth, have an extremely rough time, high incidence of suicide. And so this program started as a way to help youth better feel comfortable with themselves and help their families kind of help understand their youth and how to love and accept their youth. And so that's how it kind of started, but then it kind of grew from there, and it really helped people with maybe homes of faith or religious backgrounds, and people who may not have been as maybe accepting of someone's sexuality. So it really kind of grew from there, and now it's this whole host of services. They help with art programs and music programs and counseling, and it really is an all-encompassing way to help people kind of just be more accepting and be more comfortable with who they are. And it's really changed a lot of lives. They say that they've had literally thousands, they've helped thousands and thousands of people. And I believe they had about 6,000 families impacted by this program already.
When do they say that they're going to be up and running here in the Las Vegas Valley, or when is their like projected date to open up the resources here?
So there's a couple of things that need to happen. First, the Reynolds just moved out of their home in January. So the home has recently been vacated. It's been lived in, obviously, for the better part of the past 30 plus years. And so it's designed to be a home right now. So if it does come to pass, the home needs to be rezoned into some sort of commercial, because right now it's residential. So it has to be zoned to become a resource center, and then the home needs to be renovated to reflect that kind of new purpose. So they're hoping, if everything goes according to plan, they can have it renovated and up and running by spring of next year, 2022.
We'll be back now with more of the Daily Debrief after the break. And welcome back to the Daily Debrief, an in-depth look at the top stories of the week. For more details on any of the stories that we're talking about here, just head to ktnv.com.
As vaccination rates fall across the state, Clark County is getting more targeted in its push to vaccinate.
We have organizers, thanks to Mi Familia Vota, that are knocking on doors right now to make sure that our community comes out and gets vaccinated.
Commissioner William McCurdy says the biggest obstacles in reaching people now are access, information, and hesitancy. That's why they're bringing vaccine pop-ups directly into community centers like schools, where people feel safe.
A lot of the students can easily go home and talk to their parents, say, hey mom, we're having a vaccination, or hey dad, we're having a vaccination today.
Since vaccinations began in early January, Clark County has administered more than 1.8 million doses. In mid-April, the county reached a peak of nearly 30,000 doses in one day. Since then, there's been a steady drop. The most recent weekly report shows an average of less than 6,000 doses administered a day. Commissioner McCurdy said today that 56% of Clark County's eligible population has been vaccinated.
I'm Jason Dedant, here with anchor and reporter Jackie Kostick. And one of the big stories coming out of Nevada and throughout the country this week, in the past several weeks, has been how to get more Americans vaccinated. Do things like giveaways and lotteries work?
I mean, the reason for this big push now and incentivizing and doing these different campaigns is because we've seen over the last couple months the vaccination rates fall. So Clark County hit a peak of vaccinations, daily doses administered back in mid-April, and ever since then it's kind of been on this slow and steady decline. So right now, local leaders are really trying to make a push to reach these people who have not yet been vaccinated and get to that level. 60% is the goal in Clark County that they're talking about. And of course, President Joe Biden's goal nationally is 70% of the population vaccinated by the 4th of July.
When you were talking to the local leaders, did they say, or did they give any opinions in regards to what is stopping these last few people from getting the vaccine, and how do they overcome those kind of issues?
Yeah, I mean, that's a question that I asked directly, and they said that it's a combination of things. They say it is partly about access, which is something they're really trying to directly change and provide access, where people can just walk down the street or have a short drive to a community center they know and they feel safe at to get the vaccine. They also think that it's partly about information, maybe a language barrier in certain communities. They're also making sure to address those concerns, and hesitancy as well, which is something that we've seen across the country. So it really is that combination of lack of access, information, possibly a language barrier, and hesitancy as well.
Will there be any more pop-up clinics that you know of or that they spoke about today that you can let the viewers out know about?
Absolutely. Well, there will be another large mass vaccination clinic happening at Allegiant Stadium this week. That opens Thursday. It's through Sunday. But people can always check immunizenevada.org for more information. It's broken down by county, and they'll update the vaccination clinics available there. And the other positive thing is a lot of these places are offering not these $100 million or $1 million incentives, but the vaccination clinic today at Global Community High School had a free food drive. So people could get free food and get the vaccine at the same time. So if you go online, you can find more information about all of that.
We'll be back now with more of the Daily Debrief after the break. And welcome back to the Daily Debrief, an in-depth look at the top stories of the week. For more details on any of the stories that we're talking about here, just head to ktnv.com.
And with that attitude, there's a winning attitude.
An attitude Governor Steve Sisolak hopes will get more Nevadans to get their COVID-19 vaccine. The governor unveiling Thursday a new push to get more shots in arms, Vax Nevada Days.
$5 million in cash and prizes for nearly 2,000 eligible Nevada residents who have been vaccinated.
Starting July 8, any Nevadan who's received at least one dose of the vaccine will be entered into a weekly drawing for various prizes, from fishing licenses to cash, in amounts ranging from $1,000 to the grand prize of $1 million. Students under the age of 18 are eligible to get college savings accounts for future tuition. Some locals thinking it's a good idea.
It's pretty cool that they're going to reward people for getting a shot, especially how this whole pandemic just kind of ruined life for a lot of people.
Others say the variety of potential prizes could motivate people to get vaccinated.
If it was, a lot of potential winners and a lot of money, like $1 million, yeah. But if it was like $100 and there's like 2 winners, someone like me, super lazy, would be like, no way am I getting off the couch.
Governor Sisolak says more than 50% of Nevadans have gotten at least one dose of the vaccine. He hopes that number will rise with potential prizes available.
We've been talking about Nevada's 3 million reasons to unite behind life-saving COVID-19 vaccines, which is another way of saying every single Nevadan counts as we work to end this pandemic.
Just to make it clear, if you've already been vaccinated, you're automatically entered into the drawings. Now, if you're someone who wants to get their shot, all you have to do is just get the shot, and then you're automatically entered into that drawing as well. Jeremy Chen, 13 Action News.
We'll be back now with more of the Daily Debrief after the break. And welcome back to the Daily Debrief, an in-depth look at the top stories of the week. For more details on any of the stories that we're talking about here, just head to ktnv.com.
I'm Jason Denant, here with reporter Jeremy Chen, and today's top story is Nevada Governor Steve Sisolak announcing what he called the Vax Nevada Days. Jeremy, what exactly is this initiative, and what does the governor and the government want to achieve with this program?
So basically, Vax Nevada Days is this new initiative that's being pushed by the state to get more people vaccinated. And the way they're doing that and nudging people to get the shot is that they will be eligible for, I believe it's $5 million worth of prizes for about 2,000 Nevadans that might get lucky. So these prizes range from anywhere from cash prizes of various amounts, the biggest being $1 million, to things like fishing licenses. If you are someone between the ages of 12 and 17, it could be like a college savings account that the state gives you for college tuition. So a lot of something to get people moving as far as getting their shots and encouraging them to get it, because who knows, you might win money.
In the state of Nevada, we have like a unique system with our gaming, and that they don't allow a lottery system in place. How is this different than a lottery?
That's a very interesting question, because when the governor was pressed on that, because initially when he rolled it out, it sounded a lot like a lottery in some way, shape, or form. But no, this is actually a drawing, not the lottery. And the way the governor defined the difference was the fact that, in a lottery, you actually have to buy into it. You have to buy a ticket. You have to pay money in order to be eligible to win. In this case, getting your COVID shot, you're not paying any money to get your COVID shot. It's entirely free. And, once you do get the shot, you are entered. So it's more of like a drawing/raffle rather than a lottery. So that's kind of the simplest way he defined the difference between this and a lottery, which is obviously here in Nevada still illegal.
The governor is saying that this is a program to incentivize people to get the shot. What about all those millions of people in the state of Nevada that have already received one or both of their vaccines?
Well, that's a very good question. Good news for them. You are already in the drawing. The fact that you already got your shot, your information is already put into this drawing by the state in order for you to be eligible for these prizes. So if you already got your shot, there's nothing you need to do. So, all you got to do is just when the program starts in July, just keep an eye out on every Thursday to see if you won. That's about it.
Is there a deadline when you need to get the vaccine by to make sure that you are in these drawings?
So pretty much just get your vaccine at the very least by August 28th, because that's when this program ends, and that's when they're going to draw the person who will win $1 million, whoever that person may be. So it most likely, if you want to have a shot at winning any prize, do it at the very latest before August 28th.
Well, thanks for watching the Daily Debrief on your streaming device. Remember, if you missed any part of this week's program, just hit the back button on your remote, then scroll down until you see KTNV Digital Exclusives. There, you're going to find this show and also all of our dedicated streaming content. And stay tuned for more from 13 Action News after the break. And of course, check us out anytime here on KTNV Streaming, Las Vegas News on your time.